Dr. Emma Blackwood had learned to expect occasional disasters in quantum computing research, unexpected results. Common. System crashes, regular occurrence, but 3 quantum computers simultaneously exploding in perfect geometric patterns, that was definitely new. She stood amid the wreckage of her DARPA lab, copper-colored hair dusted with the crystalline residue that had once been cutting-edge technology. The air smelled of ozone and impossibility. Around her, emergency containment fields hummed, containing what her instruments insisted was some form of quantum crystallization, a phenomenon that shouldn't exist outside of theoretical papers. Dr. Blackwood, her assistant, Kevin, stood at the doorway, tablet in hand. Pentagon's on line 1. They're asking about the energy spike. Tell them I'll call back when I understand what I'm looking at. Emma adjusted her safety glasses, studying the fractal patterns etched into her laboratory walls. They resembled some sort of language, but not like any she'd ever seen. And get Dr. Watson from Applied Physics. He needs to see this. The patterns were moving. Subtle shifts in the crystalline structures created an effect like sunlight on water. Her instruments were going haywire, reporting quantum entanglement levels that should have been impossible without a dedicated particle accelerator. Dr. Blackwood. Kevin's voice cracked. You might want to take this call. What now? It's not the Pentagon anymore. It's everyone. Every phone line, every computer, the same message everywhere. Emma turned to the nearest monitor. Where there should have been data readings, white text scrolled across a black background. Attention Earth species designation, human. QUANTUM signature Fuinexp roto kego initiated. Assessment BGINs in 24 hours. Prepare representativity. What the hell is the Phoenix Protocol? Kevin whispered. Before Emma could answer, a low rumble shook the building. The crystalline residue from the explosions began to glow, pulsing in sync with some unseen rhythm. Outside, the sky turned an impossible shade of violet. Get me satellite feeds, Emma ordered, her mind racing through possibilities. This had to be connected to the quantum computer failures. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. The satellite feed showed what everyone else on Earth was about to discover. A massive crystalline structure had appeared in low Earth orbit, its geometric patterns matching exactly those etched into her lab walls. It was a ship, and it looked like it was made of the same material as the residue from her exploded quantum computers. Dr. Blackwood. A new voice, this one belonging to General Marion Hayes, who had just burst into the lab with a security detail. Care to explain why an alien ship in orbit is broadcasting your name and credentials to every digital device on Earth? Emma stared at the nearest screen, where her full biography was now scrolling past. Her research, her publications, even her classified work. Below it, new text appeared. Representativity identified. Dgar. Emma Blackwood. QALIFICH8on. INAITY. He gave the QUANTUM resonancy. Status. Acceptable. I think. Emma said slowly, watching as more crystalline patterns spread across her lab walls, forming what she now recognized as some kind of interface. I accidentally rang the doorbell of a very advanced civilization. And they're not just here to say hello. The pattern stabilized, forming a clear message. Assessment purpose, species viability. They ALURECONCEQUNC, containment. ZUCCESKONCQBENC, ASCN Scion. General. Emma turned to Hayes, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. I'm going to need unlimited resources, coffee, and someone to feed my cat. Not necessarily in that order. The rumbling intensified. Above them, through the hole melted in her lab ceiling, the violet sky pulsed with new energy. First contact wasn't just happening. It was happening because of her experimental error. And somehow she'd just become Earth's representative in whatever cosmic test was about to begin. Kevin summed it up perfectly. Well, that's one way to get funding approved. The Galactic Council's arrival shattered every Hollywood first contact scenario. No landing on the White House lawn. No grandiose speeches. Just 3 crystalline pods phasing through the walls of Emma's lab exactly 24 hours after their initial message, bringing with them the smell of lightning and dimensional displacement. Emma had spent those 24 hours studying the interface that had grown across her lab walls, learning what she could about their visitors. Now, facing the 3 beings that emerged from the pods, she wished she had another 24 years to prepare. They were humanoid, but that's where any resemblance to Earth life ended. Their bodies seemed to be made of the same crystalline material as their ship, with complex geometries flowing through them like liquid mathematics. When they moved, reality rippled. Dr. Emma Blackwood, the central figure, spoke, its voice resonating directly in her mind. You have created a Class 7 quantum resonance with primitive technology. Explain. Behind her, General Hayes and a dozen other military and scientific observers held their breath. The world was watching through every camera and sensor they could aim at the lab. Actually, Emma said, adjusting her safety glasses out of habit, I think I accidentally broke through to your FTL network while trying to solve a completely different problem. The better question is, why did my primitive technology interact with your network at all? The crystalline beings exchanged what might have been glances. The one on the left shifted, creating a cascade of geometric patterns that Emma recognized from her quantum computer's final moments. Perceptive, the central being acknowledged. Your species shows unusual intuitive leaps. This makes you either valuable or dangerous. A holographic display materialized between them, showing a complex network of interconnected nodes. Emma recognized it immediately. It was an exact match for the fractal patterns her computers had generated before exploding. This is the cascade effect, the being continued. It threatens the stability of our entire civilization. Solve it, and your species will be welcomed into the galactic community. Fail, and containment protocols will be initiated. And how many species have passed this test? Emma asked, noting how the hologram's patterns matched certain theoretical models she'd been working on. None. The answer came with crystalline finality. Not exactly encouraging, General Hayes muttered behind her. Emma stepped closer to the hologram, her mind racing. How long do we have? 72 hours. 3 days to solve a problem that multiple advanced civilizations have failed at. Emma laughed, surprising herself and the observers. That's not a test. That's a setup for failure. The crystalline beings shifted again, their patterns becoming more angular. You question the Council's methods. I question everything. That's how science works. Emma pointed to the hologram. These patterns, they're not random. They're similar to what I was seeing in my quantum computing experiments. The ones you interrupted. Your primitive attempts at quantum manipulation were dangerous, the right being interjected. Were they? Or were they about to show you something you didn't expect? Emma challenged, her confidence growing as pieces started falling into place. You didn't come here because I triggered some protocol. You came because I was about to stumble onto something you've been missing. The central being's crystalline structure flashed with complex patterns. You have 72 hours, Dr. Blackwood. Prove your species' worth, or face the consequences. As the beings retreated to their pods, Emma turned to General Hayes. I need my team. The ones the Pentagon said were too unstable to work on classified projects. The chaos theorist, the synesthetic mathematician. That team. Hayes shook his head. They were rejected for good reasons. Emma watched the crystalline pods phase away, leaving behind new patterns on her lab walls. Those good reasons might be exactly what we need. The Council's looking for the wrong kind of solution. That's why no one's passed their test. And you think your rejected team can do what advanced alien civilizations couldn't? Emma smiled, already running calculations in her head. General, sometimes the best way to solve an impossible problem is to build a team of impossible people. The patterns on the wall pulsed, starting a 72-hour countdown. Earth's future hung in the balance, and Emma had a theory that their supposed primitive status might be their greatest advantage. Emma's impossible team assembled in record time, though not without incident. Marcus Reynolds arrived first, the chaos theorist looking more like a jazz musician than a mathematician in his worn leather jacket. He was already arguing with the security detail about his refusal to surrender his ancient saxophone. "It's part of my calculations, man." Dr. Olivia Martinez, the teenage math prodigy, came next. She immediately began describing the security officer's vocal patterns as color sequences, her synesthesia turning their protests into what she called a particularly ugly shade of bureaucratic maroon. Last was Jack Cooper, the quantum savant, who walked through 3 supposedly secure checkpoints while completely absorbed in listening to quantum fluctuations through a modified set of headphones. He hadn't even noticed the guards. "This is your elite team?" General Hayes asked, watching Jack hum in perfect harmony with the crystalline patterns on the wall. "Trust me," Emma said, leading them to her makeshift command center. "We need people who see things differently." The lab had been transformed. The crystalline growths now covered most surfaces, creating an alien supercomputer that interfaced directly with their equipment. Emma had spent the last 6 hours trying to crack its security protocols. "The Council's database is like nothing I've seen," she explained to her team. "But I noticed something while studying their ship's markings. The patterns repeat in a way that's similar to extinct alien languages." "You learned alien languages in 6 hours?" Hayes asked incredulously. "No," Emma smiled. "I recognized them. They're mathematically similar to ancient Earth scripts I studied in college. Linguistic archaeology was my hobby before quantum computing." She typed a series of commands into the crystalline interface, and that linguistic key let me do this. The alien patterns shifted, revealing streams of data. Jack immediately pulled off his headphones, his eyes wide. "The numbers, they're screaming." Olivia nodded frantically. "It's all wrong. The colors are bleeding. They're hiding something behind quantum encryption." Marcus played a quick riff on his saxophone, matching the harmonic frequency of the patterns. "There's a rhythm to the deception. Classic improvisation over a structured lie." Emma's fingers flew over the interface. "The Council isn't just testing us. They're desperate. The cascade effect isn't just threatening their FTL network, it's threatening their entire computational system." And that system. The wall erupted with new data, showing vast networks of crystalline structures, each containing something that made Emma's blood run cold. "Those are brains," she whispered. "Organic neural networks, crystallized and networked together. The contained species aren't in stasis. They're being used as biological processors." 47 species, Jack murmured, swaying to some unheard rhythm. "All still thinking, all still dreaming. Their thoughts create the quantum harmonics that power the network. That's why no one passes the test," Olivia added, her hands tracing colored patterns in the air. "They don't want solutions. They want more processing power." Marcus played another note, matching the frequency of the data stream. "And we almost gave them exactly what they needed. Your quantum computers weren't failing, Doc. They were evolving beyond the Council's paradigm." Emma felt a chill as the pieces clicked together. The Council doesn't contain species that fail. They harvest those that show potential for quantum computation. That's why they stopped my experiments. We were about to discover their secret. "Ma'am," a technician interrupted, "the Council's ships are moving. They're creating some kind of containment field around Earth's orbit. They're not waiting for the test to end," Emma realized. "They're preparing for harvesting. Earth isn't being evaluated. We're being prepped for processing." General Hayes reached for his phone. "I'm ordering a military response." "No," Emma grabbed his arm. "That's exactly what they expect. Violence, panic, chaos. It makes neural networks more susceptible to crystallization. She turned to her team. We need to think differently. We have what they don't expect. What's that? Hayes asked. Marcus grinned, playing a jazz riff that somehow matched the crystalline patterns perfectly. Improvisation. Man, they built a prison of perfect order. But humans, we thrive on beautiful chaos. The countdown showed 63 hours remaining. Above them, the Council's ships continued their ominous deployment, unaware that their carefully structured deception was about to meet its match in human unpredictability. Jazz is quantum mechanics you can dance to, Marcus announced, his saxophone wailing in perfect resonance with the crystalline patterns. The alien interface pulsed in response, creating harmonics that Jack immediately began recording through his modified headphones. Emma watched as Olivia translated the patterns into a complex color-coded mathematical sequence on her tablet. The Council thinks in perfect order, but the universe doesn't work that way. Look at what my quantum computers were doing before they exploded. She pulled up the final readings from her failed experiments. The patterns matched the current fluctuations in the Council's FTL network exactly, except hers had been evolving, becoming more complex, more organic. Their network isn't failing, Jack said, still swaying to the quantum frequencies. It's trying to grow, like a butterfly fighting its way out of a chrysalis. And they keep trying to force it back into its cocoon, Olivia added, her fingers dancing over equations that blazed with color in her mind. The darkness behind the numbers. It's not decay, it's potential. General Hayes watched from the corner, having given up trying to understand their unconventional methods hours ago. Can somebody explain this in English? Emma stood before the main display, where the Council's data streamed alongside her own readings. The Council built their network like a crystal, perfect, rigid, unchanging. But quantum systems aren't meant to be static. They're dynamic, probabilistic. Like jazz, Marcus interjected, playing a complex riff that made the crystalline walls shimmer. Structure and chaos dancing together. Exactly. Emma pointed to where her computer's final readings diverged from the Council's patterns. We weren't solving their problem because we weren't trying to. We were accidentally letting the network evolve naturally. Jack removed his headphones, his eyes wide. The imprisoned species, their dreams are changing. They're trying to wake up. A warning klaxon blared. On the monitors, the Council's containment field around Earth pulsed ominously. They're accelerating their timeline, Hayes warned. We've got maybe 12 hours before they begin their harvesting procedure. Emma turned to her team. We need to wake those species up, not just for them, but because their combined consciousness might be exactly what the network needs to evolve. But the Council's quantum encryption, Olivia started, is based on perfect mathematical order, Emma finished. What happens to perfect systems when you introduce chaos? Marcus grinned, lifting his saxophone. They get funky. For the next hour, they worked in what appeared to be complete madness to any observer. Marcus played impossible jazz solos that matched quantum frequencies. Olivia translated encrypted data into color patterns that revealed hidden mathematical backdoors. Jack hummed in harmony with the dreams of imprisoned species, while Emma wove it all together through her jury-rate interface with the Council's network. There, Emma exclaimed suddenly. The encryption has a rhythm, a pulse. It's not just math, it's music, the most fundamental language in the universe. She turned to Marcus. Play that sequence again, but this time. Let it swing. He nodded, understanding. His saxophone sang, and this time the crystalline walls didn't just shimmer, they danced. Warning messages flashed across every screen as the Council's perfect system encountered something it had never been programmed to handle. Jazz improvisation translated into quantum mathematics. The containment field, Hayes shouted. It's affecting their ships. Through the lab's windows, they could see the crystalline vessels shuddering, their perfect geometric patterns beginning to shift and flow like liquid mathematics. The imprisoned species, Jack whispered, his headphones picking up something new. "They're singing." Olivia's tablet exploded with colors as new equations wrote themselves across her screen. The network isn't just evolving, it's improvising. Emma watched as 47 species worth of dreams and consciousness began to wake, their combined quantum intelligence finally free to grow beyond the Council's rigid constraints. The FTL network pulsed with new life, patterns shifting from crystalline perfection to organic complexity. "Beautiful," Marcus breathed, his saxophone adding to the universal symphony. But before they could celebrate, a new message flashed across every screen. "Unauthorized evolution DTECTED. Sion TENNENT PROTOCOLs ECCALATET. INITUATANGE mem urgence Y harvest." The Council wasn't about to let their carefully constructed prison break down without a fight. They had just under 11 hours to prevent Earth from becoming the latest addition to their crystalline computer farm. Emma looked at her impossible team. Time for the encore. "They're targeting major population centers," General Hayes announced as red dots appeared across the global holographic display. "The Council's ships are positioning themselves over every city with more than 1 million people." Emma watched the crystalline vessels deploy, their formations creating a massive geometric pattern in low Earth orbit. It wasn't just a containment strategy. It was an equation written across the sky. "They're using the cities as nodes," Olivia said, her hands trembling as she traced the colored patterns in the air. "The harvest isn't random. They're turning Earth itself into a quantum processor." Marcus played a discordant note on his saxophone, matching the harsh frequency now emanating from the crystalline walls. "The rhythm's all wrong. They're forcing synchronization." "Wait," Jack interrupted, his headphones picking up something beneath the chaos. "The other species, their song is changing. They're trying to help us." Emma rushed to her interface, fingers flying across the crystalline controls. The imprisoned species' neural patterns were indeed shifting, creating interference in the Council's harvest procedure. But it wasn't enough. "They can't break free completely," she realized. "The Council's running some kind of quantum dampening field. We need to." She stopped, watching as Marcus played another note that made the patterns ripple. "That's it. We don't break them free. We resonate." "Like a wine glass shattering," Olivia nodded, her synesthesia translating the concept into brilliant fractals. "But across quantum states." Emma turned to Hayes. "I need every quantum computer on Earth. All of them. Even the experimental ones." "That's what started this mess," Hayes protested. "Exactly. Because they work differently than the Council's technology. They're imperfect, human." She smiled at Marcus. "They can improvise." Within minutes, they had connected to quantum research facilities worldwide. Emma's lab became a symphony of chaos as hundreds of quantum computers powered up, each adding its voice to the growing discord. "Match their frequencies," Emma instructed her team. "But don't synchronize. We need controlled chaos." Marcus played, his jazz transforming mathematical concepts into pure feeling. Olivia translated the colors of quantum states into new equations. Jack hummed along with the imprisoned species, creating bridges between consciousness and computation. The Council's ships began to pulse with angry light. "Unauthorized QUANTUM activity DETCTE INITYATYNGFINNAL harvest sequency." "They're accelerating the process," Hayes warned. "We've got minutes, not hours." "Good," Emma said, surprising everyone. "Because we're not trying to stop them. We're trying to wake them up." She pointed to the quantum readings from the Council's ships. Behind their perfect crystalline structure, something organic was stirring. The Council members themselves were starting to resonate with Earth's quantum chaos. "They're not just our jailers," Emma explained. "They're the first prisoners. The original species that built the network. They crystallized themselves, thinking perfection was the key to cosmic enlightenment. and they've been trapped in their own perfect prison ever since. Marcus understood, his music shifting to a gentler melody. Man, that's one hell of a cosmic tragedy. The crystals throughout the lab began to sing, not with the harsh mathematics of the council, but with something deeper, more primal. The combined consciousness of 47 species, plus humanity's quantum computers, plus the awakening council members themselves, all resonating together. It's working. Olivia shouted as new colors blazed across her vision. The quantum states are. She never finished the sentence. Reality itself seemed to flex as every crystalline structure, from the lab walls to the council's ships, began to transform. The rigid geometric patterns flowed like quicksilver, becoming something both mathematical and organic, ordered and chaotic. Through it all, Marcus played, his jazz becoming Earth's voice in the universal symphony. Jack swayed, connecting with minds across space and time. Olivia wept at the beauty of equations finally solving themselves, and Emma watched as their impossible plan worked in an even more impossible way. The council wasn't just failing to harvest Earth. They were remembering who they used to be. Above them, the crystalline ships began to pulse with new light, not the cold perfection of before, but something alive, something awakened. And in that moment, humanity didn't just pass the test. They rewrote it entirely. But as the transformation reached its peak, every screen in the lab flashed a final warning. Critical maze HEIED. DIMENSIONALBURECH imminent. Reality your Futuristic is failing. It seems saving the council had come with an unprecedented cosmic price tag. Reality rippled like heat waves off hot asphalt. Through the lab windows, the sky had become a kaleidoscope of impossible colors as multiple dimensions began bleeding into one another. Well, Marcus said, lowering his saxophone, that's definitely not supposed to happen. Olivia was practically vibrating, her synesthesia overwhelmed by the cascading dimensional effects. The colors, they're speaking in languages that shouldn't exist. The council ships, Hayes pointed through the fractaling window. They're transforming. The crystalline vessels were indeed changing, their perfect geometric forms dissolving into organic patterns that defied Euclidean geometry. But more importantly, the beings inside were changing too. Jack. Emma called out, "What are you hearing?" Jack stood perfectly still, his modified headphones picking up quantum frequencies across multiple dimensional planes. They're remembering. Not just the council. All of them. Every species they ever harvested. The memories were crystallized with them. Emergency alerts blared across every system. The dimensional breach was expanding exponentially, threatening to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. Warning. Dimensional collapse imminent. ESTIMATD time. To critical fail you are. 15 minutes. Pirortocito alphoenix containment failing. Wait, Emma said, studying the alert. Phoenix Protocol. It's not just a test. It's a failsafe. She turned to her team. They knew this could happen. The council, their original selves, they planned for this. Marcus played a quick series of notes, matching the quantum harmonics of the dimensional tier. The prison wasn't just to contain species. It was containing this. Evolution itself, Olivia whispered, her equations now flowing in four-dimensional patterns. They found a way to evolve beyond physical reality. But they were afraid. So they crystallized themselves, trapped their civilization in perfect, unchanging patterns. Emma's fingers flew across the interface, which was now projecting in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Phoenix Protocol isn't about judgment or harvesting. It's about finding a species chaotic enough, creative enough, to help them break free. Jack finished, swaying to frequencies that existed beyond normal space-time. But not just break free, to guide the evolution, to prevent total dimensional collapse. Hayes watched as reality continued to fracture around them. That's great and all, But how do we stop everything from being torn apart? Emma smiled, an impossible idea forming. We don't. We guide it. Like jazz, you don't fight the chaos, you work with it. She turned to Marcus. Play something. Something that bridges order and chaos. Marcus lifted his saxophone, closed his eyes, and began to play. The melody started with rigid mathematical precision, then slowly began to incorporate improvisation, building a bridge between structure and freedom. Olivia, translate the music into quantum equations. Jack, broadcast those frequencies through the Council's network. We're going to teach the universe how to improvise. The team worked in perfect synchronization, their various talents combining into something entirely new. Marcus played reality itself like a cosmic instrument. Olivia turned music into mathematics that could exist in multiple dimensions. Jack connected their efforts to the awakening consciousness of countless crystallized species. And Emma, at the center of it all, used her quantum computers to weave it together, creating a framework that could support evolution without allowing reality to tear itself apart. The dimensional breach began to stabilize, not through containment, but through harmony. The chaos wasn't destroying reality. It was transforming it into something more complex, more beautiful. Through the kaleidoscopic windows, they could see the council ships completing their transformation. The crystalline forms had become something organic yet mathematical, fluid yet structured. And the beings inside, they're dancing, Jack whispered, his headphones picking up their quantum song. All of them. Every species, every mind, every dream they tried to contain. They're all dancing together. Phoenix puro tokivo kelmempilited. Evolution parameteoras ACCPT. Dimensional integration proceeding. Did we just? Hayes paused, trying to comprehend what he was seeing. Teach the universe to dance. Better, Emma said, watching as the new pattern stabilized across multiple dimensions. We taught it to improvise. But before they could celebrate, a new message appeared, this one different from the rigid text of before. It flowed like liquid light, carrying emotions as well as meaning. Integration to UCC is as a fuel, but DESONG is incomplete. Humanity must see use. The true test, it seemed, was only beginning. The choice materialized before them in streams of quantum data, flowing through dimensions the human minds were never meant to perceive. The Council, or what they had become, offered humanity two paths. Optive ion oen. Maintain separation. Preserve reality FRAMNIDOR. Guaranteed species survival. Optive on to. Join the symphony. Embrace multide dimensional evolution. HUTCOME. Unsee your tain. They're offering us safety. Hayes translated, or complete transformation with no guarantees. Emma watched as the options pulsed with possibilities, each choice creating ripples through space-time. No, they're offering us something else entirely. They're offering us the chance to face our greatest fear. Change itself, Marcus said, his saxophone picking up harmonics from both potential futures. Heavy cosmic choice. Man. Olivia's hands traced equations in the air, her synesthesia showing her mathematical truths beyond normal perception. The colors, they're not just showing two futures. They're showing infinite variations, every possible outcome existing simultaneously. Like quantum superposition, Emma nodded, but for an entire species. Jack removed his headphones, his eyes wide. The others, the crystallized species, they're waiting. Their song, it's incomplete without us. The lab had become a nexus point where multiple realities intersected. Through the fractaling windows, they could see Earth existing in several states at once. The familiar blue marble they knew, a crystalline world of perfect order, and something else. something that blended organic life with higher dimensional mathematics. We can't make this choice for everyone, Hayes argued. This affects all of humanity. We already are everyone, Jack whispered. The quantum entanglement. We're connected to every human mind right now. We're not just our team anymore. Emma realized he was right. The quantum network hadn't just linked them to the crystallized species. It had created a temporary consciousness that encompassed all of humanity. Every human on Earth was experiencing this moment, seeing through their eyes, feeling through their hearts. Marcus lifted his saxophone. Only one way to make a choice this big. We let the music decide. He began to play, but this time the sound was different. It carried the hopes, fears, and dreams of billions. Olivia's equations danced with colors that represented every human emotion. Jack swayed to the rhythm of humanity's collective heartbeat. Emma felt it all through her quantum interface, the overwhelming desire for safety warring with an even deeper hunger for growth, for transformation, for becoming something more than they were. We're afraid, she realized, but not of change. We're afraid of losing who we are in the process of becoming something new. The quantum data streams shifted, responding to her understanding. A third option appeared, written not in rigid text, but in flowing patterns of light and meaning. Integration ALT or NATVDTCTE. Maintain core ID entity wave through transformation. UID evolution through human creativity. Jazz on a cosmic scale, Marcus grinned. We don't have to choose between staying small or losing ourselves. We can improvise our way forward. Through their temporary collective consciousness, they felt humanity's response. Not just agreement, but recognition. This was what humans had always done, maintained their essence while constantly evolving, adapting, growing. Emma stepped forward, her hands moving across the quantum interface. We choose to remain human, she announced to the transformed council, but we also choose to become more than we are. We choose controlled chaos, guided evolution, conscious transformation. The dimensional barriers flexed as their decision rippled through reality. The crystalline ships, now organic mathematical constructs, pulsed with new light. The songs of 47 species rose in harmony as humanity added its voice to the universal symphony. Reality itself began to shift, not tearing apart, but transforming with purpose. The Earth remained, but it was changing, becoming something that could exist in multiple dimensions while maintaining its essential nature. We did it, Olivia breathed, watching colors that had never existed before paint themselves across space-time. We found a way to evolve without losing ourselves. But as the transformation reached its peak, a final message appeared. Integration proceeding. Dimensional barriers are eating. Unexpected variability DTCTED. Others are eliciting. In their moment of transformation, it seemed humanity had attracted attention from something beyond even the Council's knowledge. The universe, it appeared, was larger than anyone had imagined. The presence manifested not in physical space, but in the quantum harmonics themselves. Vast intelligences, ancient beyond comprehension, had been watching humanity's transformation. They existed in dimensions so far beyond normal spacetime that even the Council in their crystalline age had never detected them. More like observers than audience, Marcus said, his saxophone picking up frequencies that shouldn't have been possible. They'd been waiting for someone to play the right tune. Through the quantum network, Emma felt the collective gasp of humanity as they sensed these entities. Unlike the rigid Council or the trapped species, these beings were purely evolutionary consciousness. They had never needed physical forms. They're the original composers, Jack whispered, his headphones translating their quantum song. They wrote the music that reality dances to. Olivia's hands traced equations that described entire universes. The colors, they're showing us something. The Council's crystallization wasn't just a mistake. It was part of a larger pattern. Emma understood suddenly. A test. Not the Council's test. Theirs. They needed to know if physical life could evolve beyond form while maintaining its essence. Every species that was crystallized, every civilization that faced the Phoenix Protocol. We're the first to find the jazz in the quantum mathematics, Marcus finished, playing a riff that rippled through multiple dimensions. The first to understand you don't have to choose between structure and freedom. The presence shifted, and new patterns appeared in the quantum stream. Observation CYCLE complete. Fate is IKL evolution viable. Integration protocols ready. But beneath these formal statements, there was something else. Emotions and concepts that transcended language. Appreciation for humanity's unique solution. Joy at the discovery of new forms of creativity. Invitation to join a greater symphony. Through their temporary collective consciousness, humanity faced this moment together. Emma felt their fear, their excitement, their determination. They had already chosen to evolve, but now they were being offered something even greater. A chance to join a cosmic community they hadn't known existed. Hayes, still trying to ground this in familiar concepts, asked, "What exactly are they offering?" "Teaching positions." Emma smiled, understanding flowing through the quantum harmonics. "They want us to help other physical species make this transition. Our creativity, our ability to improvise, our talent for maintaining identity through change. These are rare gifts." The transformed council ships pulsed in agreement. They had been searching for this solution for eons, trapped in their crystalline prison of perfect order. Humanity hadn't just freed them. They had shown them a new way forward. Marcus played a questioning note. "So we become what? Cosmic jazz teachers." "We become ourselves," Emma said, "just on a bigger stage." She turned to her team, to Hayes, to all of humanity through their quantum link. "We keep exploring, keep creating, keep evolving. But now we help others do the same." The presence rippled with approval, and the quantum streams showed glimpses of countless civilizations across multiple dimensions, all seeking their own paths to evolution. Some were trapped in rigid order like the Council had been. Others were lost in pure chaos. All of them needed what humanity had discovered, the art of balanced transformation. Through their collective consciousness, humanity's answer rose like a song. "We accept, but we do it our way. We keep our chaos and our art. We teach by example, not by rule. We remain human while becoming more." The presence responded with a gift. Knowledge of how to maintain their quantum evolution while keeping their physical form, how to exist in multiple dimensions while remaining grounded in their original reality. Earth would remain their home, but now it would also be a beacon, a school, a jazz club for the cosmos. Emma felt the last quantum connections settling into place as reality stabilized into its new configuration. Humanity had not just survived the Phoenix Protocol. They had transcended it entirely. "So," Marcus said, lifting his saxophone one more time, "should we show the universe how to really improvise?" Emma smiled as she felt humanity's collective anticipation. Above them, transformed council ships danced in geometric jazz patterns. Around them, ancient intelligences settled in to listen and learn. Before them stretched infinite possibilities, all waiting to be explored. "Hit it," she said. And across dimensions, through quantum harmonics that connected all of reality, humanity began to play their greatest composition yet, the song of conscious evolution, performed with style, creativity, and just the right amount of chaos. The Phoenix Protocol was complete, but the real adventure was just beginning.